I feel like remiss that I don't have my hoodie on.
You're good. It's only because
Do I?
my hair's a little jacked up, so I wear the hoodie just to make it look a little good.
Nice. That's awesome.
All right.
I feel like I should go get it. That's all right. That's all right.
All right, ladies and
That's all
gentlemen,
good.
we are back with episode 14 of Zed Daily. Today I'm here with Boots from Retro Racing. How are you doing, my friend?
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Thank you
Another
for
beautiful day in Novus Earth.
Yes, sir. Thank you for coming on. So I wanted to start it by asking you, how did you come up with the name Retro Racing and where did you get it from?
Yeah. So there's five of us that are on the team, and we're all what I would consider older folks. So our average age on the team is 45 years old. I'm one of the younger guys at 43. So we kind of considered ourselves like retro. We grew up as children of the 80s. We like the music. We like some of the punk style from that generation. So we kind of wanted to go with a retro theme and then started to pull some design ideas together from that. And that brought us to the retro racing design that everyone sees and the logo design. And we try to keep a lot of the stuff we do, some of the naming of our horses where we can name them, unless they're super lineage, like coming off legally challenged. We try to keep stuff retro thematic, like Pony Walkman, as an example. Like for those grew up in the 80s, know the yellow Sony Walkman cassette disc, which is or tape player, which is incredibly iconic. So we've got Pony Walkman. And for those who are big Olympics fans in the 80s, we've got Florence Griffin Joyner and Jockey Joyner Kersey, two of the best female Olympians of those times. So we try to have some fun and do it like that.
That's pretty cool. So what role does everybody play within retro racing?
We've got me, and I would say that I am the face and voice of the team and the marketing guy on the front end. Kind of fits with some of the real world consulting stuff that I do, front facing, client interaction, brand building is one of my big focuses. We've got two, three guys that handle a lot of the financial aspects. They're pretty good with understanding some of the analytics around the economy of Zed and what that can look like from an ROI perspective, value in horses that we want to buy, horses we want to sell, breeding strategies. And then there's another guy who lives in an IT world and a design world. He tends to handle the majority of web development, web design, web hosting. There's some other projects that we're working on as a team that are going to come to light here pretty soon that we think the community is going to be excited about. So he tends to gravitate towards that. And then we all kind of divvy up the responsibilities from there when it's not in a specific bucket. And then we meet weekly, just have conversations on the state of what's going on, where we're at, and any strategy changes based on what Zed's doing.
Okay. So how do you guys run do you guys have like a multi-sig wallet? Is it one wallet? How do you guys go about running a collective stable?
Yeah, great question. We get asked that one a lot. We've got four wallets, I think, that we're managing through. I manage the primary racing wallet, and I actually do that simply through a Chromebook because it's pretty secure. Nothing gets downloaded or added to it other than just that one MetaMask wallet. We've got a training wallet, we've got a sales wallet, and then we've also got what we generically labeled our farm wallet. And that's where the majority of our horses that don't run and are breeding from a stud farm or mare perspective, they tend to just hang out in that barn. And all that's out. Like if anyone is ever curious, like you can check all that stuff on OpenSea. Everything is set up with the nomenclature retro racing. So it'll be retro racing sales, retro racing farms, retro racing training. So it's pretty easy to find if anyone's ever curious and you kind of see, we don't, it's all blockchain. So it's not as though we're hiding anything.
Right.
It's tough to
Right.
hide this stuff on the blockchain as we've seen this week.
Yeah. Just check the receipts. Check the receipts.
Yeah, for sure.
So who found Zed within the group?
That was one of our finance guys. So three of us got started in Top Shot, and kind of backstory, the three of us, three of the guys, we actually all grew up together just outside of, just around the Philadelphia area. Went to high school together, played youth sports. So we've been friends now for, I mean, gosh, like 35, 40 years almost of our lives. So we've known each other pretty good bit of time. We started in Top Shot around January and we're playing around, and then it seems a natural progression because you start to follow on the social media outlets, Instagram and Twitter in particular, people that are associated with those accounts. And then you start to see them share other projects that they're in. And just through natural discovery, you start to branch out into the other projects. And Zed Run was one that really piqued our interest. Not that I have a background in horse racing per se as being directly involved, but I did live in Louisville for 6 years when I was down there getting my MBA and became a huge horse racing fan and pretty knowledgeable about the sport. And we learned about Zed and thought that was a pretty good opportunity. And in March, we started getting involved from there.
Did you guys approach it as entertainment as first or investment?
Investment. We looked at it, we had conversations actually. There was about 8 of us who were involved in Top Shot, and we had some conversations about what we wanted to put in when they were doing the March drop. And we looked at some of the numbers and we said, okay, for us to be successful, for us to get the Genesis horses that we wanted to get to, we've kind of got to be at this number. And it's interesting, the number started, I think here, 2 of the guys completely blocked immediately. Third guy said, I just want to put in like 20% of what you guys are putting in. The other 5 of us, or the other 4 of us said, we're kind of looking at this a little more and our number's actually up here. So 3 guys stepped away. The 5 of us put our investments in, and we've look at it as both financial investment and then just through some of the other stuff that we do around it, the merch site, which, I'll talk about, but the announcing as well. That's just fun stuff for us. Being on screen and calling races, I enjoy that even though I'm not a comm guy. I enjoy the interaction with the game in that capacity. And I think it's something that other people have shared with me brings a different level of enjoyment than just watching the race, listening to whatever music Zed has on there, and then it's over. The calls that Zook does, that I do, T-Noob is starting to get involved in there as well. It really changes it and makes it almost a lot more realistic and more dynamic. So it's a lot of fun.
What gave you the thought of calling races? Had you had any experience doing that before? Did you want to do it, or what was the story behind that?
No, totally random. No, had never called any horse races. I've been to races for years. I just thought it would be cool to have a voice, and I kind of just would do recordings. I would start out that way where it wasn't live. I wasn't set up on Twitch. I wasn't doing any social media from that capacity. I would record it. I would put one up on YouTube, and then I get a DM from Pack Protocol, and he's like, "Hey man, I heard one of your calls. I was like, oh, wow, you're one of the 6 people that watched it on YouTube. Awesome. And he goes, I just won this massive race with perfect cadence. It was like a $3,000 first place that he won. He goes, can you call this race for me? And also do me a favor and put in the call to the post, which is the horns that you hear prior to each race. The so he's like, put that in there, and then I want you to just go absolutely ballistic when perfect cadence wins the race. I was like, man, I could do that for you. He's like, he's like, do you want me to send you any ETH or anything for us? Like, yeah, I don't care. If you do, I appreciate it. If not, I have a blast doing this, and I totally appreciate the fact that you reached out to me to do it. He was pretty cool. He actually sent me a 0.2 ETH tip, which at that time was like $400. So that was pretty awesome. And I thought to myself, hey, people like this. If I kind of do it more often, if I clean it up, if I get myself an actual mic with a pop filter, if I have it going live when the races are going live, I think there's something here that people will gravitate to and enjoy. And I've been doing it there since.
Okay.
So that was probably, that was months ago. So I've been doing it for a couple months and then trying to get consistent on a Twitch stream doing it. And then the voice of Zed Run has kind of evolved. And now I'm doing the high stakes showdown with Sean and Tommy as well, which I encourage everyone to check out. It's freaking awesome.
Where can they watch the high stakes showdown at?
That is on Sean Versal's Twitch stream. It typically goes Saturdays. So we've had 2 time slots. The first Saturday was 4 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific time. The last one started at 10 o'clock Eastern and 7 o'clock. I haven't seen what time this Saturday is going to start yet.
Okay. So just be on the lookout for that. Follow High Stakes Showdown on Twitter, and then you guys can get all the notifications on that. But I want to rewind a little bit more. So you guys said you guys came into this game looking at it as an investment. You came in and got Genesis correct. So what genotype, bloodline, and what group of Genesis horses and why?
Yeah, our goal was go as high as possible. So we had visions of getting a Z1. And when we looked at it and looked at really what a portfolio would look like if we did that and where our investment was, it would have ended up maybe being a Z1 at drop. And we kind of talked through the risk that's associated with there. So yeah, if you get a Z1, that's awesome. Obviously, there's investment value, and I think we've seen that they've grown pretty exponentially since drop. But our concern was putting all the eggs in one basket. So we said, all right, let's drop that down, and we ended up figuring out that we could grab a couple Z2s, some Z4s, and some Z5s based on the way the pricing was, and thought that was a much better strategy for the long term, and then try to build our portfolio, do some breeding. And we hopefully wanted to get back into a Z1. I think they're, where we're at is probably out of our reach at the moment. But, maybe we'll get lucky on a project, on another thing that we have that we're doing, or, just like any of the other NFT projects are out there, hopefully one of us has one that pops and, we turn around, have the next BAYC sitting in our wallet and can sell something for 50 ETH and snag one.
Heck yeah.
But that was it. It was really just, again, there's a couple of us that are finance guys. 2 of us have MBAs in finance. One guy has an undergrad degree in econ from an Ivy League school. So, we're very in tune with understanding risk and where these dollars are going and what the returns and metrics look like. Those guys more so than me. Like I said, I'm more of a front end sales and marketing guy. So I think as a team, we collaborate pretty well. We have a good balance of different ideas and different backgrounds, and that's worked pretty well for us so far.
Okay. How do you guys go about disagreements? Either disagreements on racing, disagreements on breeding? Like, how does that work out in a collective?
We are a perfectly functioning family, and we never disagree. Just like any team, there's, you've got 5 guys that are pretty alpha in the room. Like I said, we're all from different backgrounds, but we've all kind of excelled in the real world and things that we do. And we bring that dynamicism into the team aspect, and we definitely butt heads. There's no question about that. But we tend to just enable the person that has that role assigned. So as an example, I run racing for our primary wallet. There's another person who handles training. If there's a question about race strategy, it gets asked. But for the most part, the other four guys on the team acquiesce to the way I've laid out the racing strategy. Unless there's something egregious that I'm doing, if I'm entering, one of well, you can't do it anymore, but say I was putting a class 4 runner in a $500 class 1 race, that's something that obviously would be a red flag, but we just don't do that stuff. If we can't get to an agreement, we do have a voting system, and since there's an odd number, it makes it easy because there's always going to be at worst a 3-2 split, and we just go that way. And I'd say because we're older, it tends to lend itself to an easier path to getting past things. We tend not to harp on things. We just accept it, move on, and don't dwell on it, which also works very well from a business perspective and team perspective.
Okay. So being the race manager, how do you go about entering your horses into races? Are you scouting on Know Your Horses before you enter there? What's your process on that?
Yeah, so I'm definitely doing that research. The KYH site, MJ's Informatics, the Zed Run tools, all those sites, we're checking those, Talku, which we're using to just get a lot of our sales data. We're trying to figure out what the best opportunity is. Each horse is completely unique, and then it's unique within the ecosystem, and then you drill down further. It's unique within the ecosystem of that particular race and its ability to be successful. So for us and for me, as an example, legally challenged. I don't care who's in the race. I don't give a shit. 1,000 meters, 1,200 meters, 99% of the time, unless it's, if it's a $500 race, I'm going to be a little bit more cognizant because your expected value of return there is not high. So you really got to be careful about tossing it in there because of the randomness of the game. But anything under that, even down to $100, for the most part, I throw him in there, no fear, because his ROIs dictate and his results have over 1,000 plus races dictated that he'll be successful and will get the return. And I don't look at day-to-day results with him because I know, he could go 6 races in a row without a podium and then win 4 out of the next 6. But then there's some of our other racers where there's definitely a little bit more of a balance, and we got to kind of try to say, okay, who's in there? Do I want to gravitate towards $2 races or $4 or $5 races? What's going to give this horse the best chance to be successful and start giving us a positive EV? And, that's the art form as much of it is a science within Zed. And I think the people that are the most successful are figuring that out. You look at, I think there's only, we were having this discussion the other day, and I can't remember who it was. It was me and Darside Supercoats and somebody else, and I'll apologize, but we were talking about, maybe in Chicago Stables, the number of horses that are actually plus EV in the game right now. And out of the 110,000 or however many are in the Zed Run ecosystem now, there's only a couple hundred horses that are actually positive ROI that are maybe even plus an ETH or 2 ETH or beyond. So that's something that people really need to understand. And I think if you can understand that, have a better understanding of what your goals are with your horses and how to manage them better, you'll have more success within the game.
Yeah, kind of like low expectations, but hope for the moon.
Yeah, and I think when Zed continues to adjust the ecosystem, again, there's only 5 classes, and I've mentioned this a couple times on my show, on other people's. The 5-class system was designed a couple years ago when there were a couple hundred horses that were actually active in the ecosystem and running. And I think this is before there was actual graphics of the horses running down the track. I think it was only just the 2D dots that you can watch as an alternative to the 3D race. So obviously now you have exponential growth because of breeding, and there has to be an adjustment in class system. We all know that it's coming. Zed's working on it. And when they adjust that class system, that's where a lot of these horses are going to have better opportunity to be plus EV horses. Whereas right now, it's incredibly challenging. I mean, even some of our best runners that are down in class 3 are barely profitable, but I would look at them and say, okay, this horse could probably be a 15% winner, which could be a plus return, if there was a class 6 for it or class 7. One of the horses that we bred with Crimson Racing the other day, we bred Legally Challenged and Crimson Chin. The offspring is Legally Chrome. It's in Crimson Racing's portfolio. And if you look at the horse, it's a monster. But it got classed up to class 1. It was winning all along the way in 3, 4, 5, and even up in 2. Mild success in class 1, but it just won't be profitable there. But if you have a 10 class system and this horse is hanging out, say, between classes 6 and 3, or maybe even 6 and 2 in a 10 class system, that horse is going to be crushing the game and probably going to be a 5 ETH horse before you know it. So, and I think that's what's necessary to make a lot of these bred horses have a bigger place in the ecosystem than the overwhelming majority have now. It's just a class expansion, which, again, we just got to weather the storm with some of the rough patches that we're going through at Zed. And, us as a team have been in it now since March. So you're talking 8 months. And when we jumped in, you couldn't even breed your horses for the first 2 months. So all we did was race. We didn't really understand the economics around classing up or classing down, how to do that stuff. So lots happened and changed just in a very short period of time.
Yeah, a lot has happened. So you kind of did touch on what you would like to see. You said like more expanded classes, like 7 classes or 10 classes, you said. Would you like to see expanded points within that? So like maybe what's the barrier to moving up in points? 10 points or something like that? Or moving up in class?
Yeah, it's pretty low. You have to have a minimum 10 class system, and the classes have to be expanded between, I mean, with the way the new point system was that Zed created, you're basically saying, like, say you have a 30-point class differential in there, and then you've got a horse that isn't maybe a traditional U shape, or you're not downclassing it. Say you're just racing the horse. If the horse wins, 5 times, and it's not finishing in the bottom, another 50% of the time where you're dropping those points, it's probably going to get classed up pretty quickly. I would say maybe 40 or 50 points. I think we really want these horses that don't belong in the higher classes to figure out how to stay in the class that is most suited to them being successful. And that doesn't mean that I think there's a place in the ecosystem for every horse. I don't agree with that. That's not real horse racing in real life. And that's not what we want in Zed, because every horse being competitive all the time means we're just going to churn money between us. And that's not what we're looking for here. There has to be a disparity in horses' abilities. That's not to say that, if you have a total donkey, there shouldn't be something for it to do. I think the tournaments, as an example that Zombie has put together, the donkey tournaments are freaking awesome. And I give so much credit to Joe and the guys over there for what they've created within the Zediverse, because they're finding ways on a monthly basis to bring people's enthusiasm levels up about the game without just leaving it up to Zed. So that's big kudos to those guys, and finding ways to get horses involved that maybe wouldn't have a traditional place to be winners is what the ecosystem again needs.
Yeah, I agree 100% because with Zombies, Dons, and Donkeys tournaments, like I went out there and I bought the most donkey I can find, the most 5th to 6th placer I could find, just because I wanted to have a shot to win that tournament,
That's awesome. How did you end up doing it?
Horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Freaking horse won twice, right?
He actually did win, so I'm like, come on, dude. Like, come on. But you touched on Legally Challenged. What's the story behind your acquisition of Legally Challenged, and how did you know? Like, how did you figure out 1,000 to 1,200 meters was its distance?
Yeah, so this is one of our, as a team, this is one of our favorite stories. So one of the guys on our team is actually an attorney by trade in the real world, and it was his turn in the drop queue, and he actually got legally challenged in drop, which if anyone's listening, or if you know, there's actually some video on YouTube, and I'll dig it up later and I'll share it with you, of somebody going through one of the earlier drops even before we got involved, and it was mass chaos. You're just clicking, 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 hoping something goes through as a transaction. And that's what happened. He literally just clicked one, it went through, he got it, and that was the horse. And it was destiny, truthfully, because again, like, he's an attorney, the horse's name is legally challenged. It
Ah,
totally worked. It was hilarious. And then figuring out what the horse's abilities were, you can see we ran him everywhere. And we started to see the success rates at sprint distances. So we quickly, and I'm sorry, step back. We had access to odds too at that time. So odds obviously helped a lot faster with discovery of what your horse's abilities are. So that helped us gravitate towards 1,000, 1,200, and even 1,400. And then now with all the data that we have from KYH, we can go in there, look at it at any time, and you can see his flame rates are pretty astronomical, even in class one. His ROIs are positive, his success rate. He's obviously a beast of a horse, and that's why, we don't really care who's in a class one race. We're going to run them. One on one, are we going to win every race every time? No. But again, like I said, over the size of races that we're going to run with him and the distribution, we're going to be positive EV and get a good return. So.
that's pretty cool. So with the Redwood City Classic, which was 1,000 meter uh race, what like, and for anybody that doesn't know about the Redwood City Classic, it's the Zed Run Netflix race. They said it was going to be on this day. They never set a time. They just randomly dropped the race into Class 1, $3,000 buy-in, and 1,000 meters. So, but you have a horse that could have won that race. So how do you feel about the lead up to that race and not even being aware that this was going to run at this time?
Yeah, the first part was the lead into it. And I think, I don't want to speak for everyone else, but some of the folks that I've had conversations with, we all thought, based on the wording of what Zed had put out in communications when they said some of the biggest names, we figured that there was already a predetermined list of horses that either they were going to give a chance to opt in or opt out to, or they basically just said, hey, we're going to throw you in this race, we're going to do this. So obviously, without any communication to us and our team, we didn't think we were part of that list. We also didn't know it was going to be 1,000 meters. And then on the day of the race, I was out. So I didn't even know the race ran. I was incommunicado for a couple hours, finally got home, saw that it ran, was pretty frustrated, especially with it being at 1,000 meters. And then on top of that, seeing that some of the names that run at 1,000 successfully and are consistently in class one running were not in there, I would say disappointment. And I think I talked about this on my stream Wednesday night. I expressed my frustration in poor form towards Zed. I was always taught you should praise in public and criticize in private. And I think my tone of tweet should have maybe gone in a DM to a couple of the guys on the team at Zed that I've had face-to-face interactions with, who I've known now for a couple months, who know who I am, who know my personality, and who know where my team and my place is within the Zed Run community. So it's not a different level of standing, like I'm putting myself above people. They just know that I have a background here, and with the stuff that we do at Stable Swag and the stuff that we're doing on our Twitch stream and with the calls and with some of the other projects, they know what our investment is as a whole. So I think, kind of a long story to say, I was frustrated, I was disappointed, I didn't express it well. But I think, as you and I touched on kind of quickly early on before we hopped on for everyone, there's always asymmetric information, meaning there's one-sided information in a two-sided interaction. And there's definitely some information that not everyone is privy to about that event. And I think we all just have to accept and move on and hope that Zed does a better job with what they can and can't communicate moving forward. So when things like that happen, we know enough not to be frustrated or disappointed.
So what would you want to see moving forward for the next sponsored race? Like, how would you want to see him set it up?
I am a marketing guy by trade and background. That's my MBA, marketing and finance. I want as much publicity around it as possible because we need more eyes on Zed to bring more players into the community, not just as I've seen the last 5 or 6 big sales are just swapping big dollar horses between some of the big stables. We need more outside money coming into Zed. And I don't mean that from an investment into Zed as a company. I mean that from a player investment into Zed as a community. And you do that by getting eyes on your product and on your events. So if you're going to have another big horse race, to me, tie that around something that's going on in the world. I think, horse racing for right now, we're in November. As far as I know, off the top of my head, there's nothing big horse racing wise. But what the hell? Like, have a big Thanksgiving Day event. Figure out how to tie it in thematically with the NFL. What do people do on Thanksgiving next week? We drink, we watch football, we eat turkey. Have a tournament. Do something that day. Have an event. Have a big Christmas Day race when everyone's at home with families and can turn it on. The great thing about horse racing, unlike a football game or baseball game, there's a reason they call the Kentucky Derby the fastest 2 minutes in sports. Or sorry, the most exciting 2 minutes in sports, because it's only 2 minutes. Everyone's going to turn it on for 2 minutes.
Right.
It's a watched event. Market the hell out of this thing, get people's eyes on it, get people excited where they say, hey, I want to get involved in that. I want to buy a horse. I want to run it. That to me, well, again, long answer, but that's what I want. I want eyes on the prize, because the more people that get into the ecosystem, the more horses that are going to get bought. It's going to raise the value of the horses that are being bred. It's going to raise the value of the horses that are already owned by those of us that are involved. And then we can hopefully have the growth that we're looking for to take this thing to the next level.
Yeah, I love what you just said, like scheduled events, because we know on Christmas that you got NBA basketball. Like some of the top teams are going to be playing. They're going to have their special jerseys. It's an event, right? And then Thanksgiving, you're going to have like Detroit Lions and probably the Cowboys, and the winner's going to get a turkey leg. It's its own special event, and if we know
The
that this,
turducken.
yeah, if we know it's going to happen, like then that gives room for advertisers to put maybe like ads on the countdown screen as it's counting down from a minute or something. So yeah, build it up into an event to where you get eyeballs on it.
Yep.
I agree.
And look, make sure that whoever you're negotiating that contract with, just say, it's got to be bilateral. You got to say, hey, you're giving us dollars, or you're giving us access to your logo. Here's what our intention is. And I think, again, I feel that we harp on a lot of the same topics, but it's okay because they are the most important topics. And Zed as a team, again, over the last 6 months is growing exponentially. They were a team of 25, 30 people 7 months ago. I think they're up to about 100 hires now. So, you're talking about 3x plus growth as an organization. Now you start to have people that actually understand within the company how to do these things, how to create these sort of events. You have a marketing person. I believe they hired a CMO. So a lot of this stuff will fall into that person. And if he or she, I don't know who it is, I imagine that he or she is going to be a very talented person who's going to look at some of the things that were done, see there's some good things, and then how to take some of the good stuff that's happened already and make it blockbuster. And that's really what we're all hoping for.
Because it's a whole new sector, right? I mean, if we can just break it down to where people can get to MetaMask and Zed Run and all that stuff really easy, and the game is good, I mean, we're gonna take off.
Yeah.
It's just we got to simplify the mechanics of how to play this game, and then just make it easier for the average Joe to understand and buy a horse.
Yep. You've got to be able to figure out how a person can just swipe a credit card, buy a horse, and be racing. And Zed Gazette and I were talking about this, and he brought this up. He's like, that turnaround time, and I'm not talking, not talking about expertise within the ecosystem, because that comes over time. That comes over learning, doing the research, interacting with other people that are here, reading, learning, watching, but cutting down on the time from I see the product, I'm excited about it. How can I get involved in it as quickly as possible by swiping a card or paying and getting a horse on a track? And if you can cut down time to track, that's a lot of people don't understand. That was the Amazon model. What Amazon figured out over years is that they were losing product sales by number of clicks. So they figured out that if they could get down to almost a one-click buy, their sale rate increased exponentially. Because you basically point, click, and buy goes in there. Do you want to buy now versus going into a cart? That's a huge difference, because then it makes the transaction faster. The person's more inclined to do it, cuts down on lost sales, increases revenue. That's really something that Zed needs to take a look at and figure out, okay, how can we do that? A little more challenging because it's an NFT space. I'm not talking about, buying a harness for my dog off the internet. It's obviously a little different, a little bit more of an investment. But again, if you can cut down on that time that it takes for a person to get on the track with their horse, you're going to get more people in here doing races and having fun.
Yeah, because both of us coming from Top Shot, personally, I never spent crypto on Top Shot. I only used my credit card.
Same.
And it was just easy.
Yep. Swipe, goes in, boom, buy, done. Took a second. Then you got a Dapper Labs balance, so you don't even have to do anything the next time because you sold one of your moments. Yeah, was that your segue too? How did you find Zed? Yeah.
Yep. Started off with Top Shot. I was paying attention to Zed, so this is like, I was in Top Shot in March of this year. I saw Zed, kind of paid attention to it. I followed them on Twitter. I saw they did the Terra drop, and then a few hours later they tweeted out like, "Sorry, we messed up the drop, blah blah blah." So I'm like, okay, they might still be having some problems. I'll hold off. And then in August, like literally right before the NFT boom, I was just like, it looks fun. I'm gonna go buy a horse, and Diamonds was my first horse.
It's a good horse. I've seen that one on the track.
He's all right.
In a couple head-to-heads.
Yeah, he's all right.
I mean, it definitely enhances your enjoyment of the game when you get a horse like that. But I think if we can find places for some of those other horses, whether it's tournaments weekly, daily, whatever it is, moving to almost more of a DFS model with Zed, where maybe you've got 5 or 6 guys, and every single day you guys are throwing a couple bucks in and going head to head. Stuff like that is coming to our ecosystem faster than we all know it, and I think it's going to expand it quickly. So it'll be good. It'll definitely be good, but we're looking forward to seeing what comes down the pike pretty soon and seeing what changes that Zed has. I know Ebbs on the Twitter Spaces with ZG and Zook and I Saturday morning talked about some pretty exciting stuff that's supposed to be coming here in Q1 2022. So I know people are frustrated. We see it on social media, and that's why I encourage people to take those day or 2 or 3 or 4 day breaks away from it, to kind of get away from some of the negativity, or just turn off the retweet button for some people. But just in my opinion, it's just Zed will grow. You just got to be patient. I think the changes that are going to come and the stuff that the community is building is just going to keep making it better. So,
how do you explain this to your friends and family?
I always start off with 3 words: digital horse racing, or I guess that'd be 2. Horse racing is 1 word. And then I try to high level go into it being tied to the blockchain. It's based on an Ethereum and Polygon chain, and it sits on this space. They run digitally through this online portal that shows you the result of 1,000 simulations and a random pick of those. And usually by the time I get to the 1,000 simulation part, the person's eyeballs start going a little glossy, and I'm saying, let me just show you a race. And then I show them a race, and I say, and this is my team. We're retro racing. Here's our stable swag. These are a bunch of other stables that are involved, and people kind of get pretty excited about it and like it. And I think having the merch site, it has been a huge draw for people. For us, and I always tell people this, it's not something that we're making money off of. I think we set it up originally as just something that we were excited about because we saw the retro logo designs that we got from one of the designers we work with. And so those are pretty badass. Like, and we kind of kept joking, like, oh, we need golf polos, we need a hat. And then our one guy who lives in an IT world and a tech world, like a day later, he goes, yo guys, I set up this merch site, check it out. And he put up hoodies and hats and t-shirts for us. We're like, oh shit, dude, that's awesome. And I took a look at it because, again, my marketing background, I was like, all right, hey, love what you set up. Now let's actually put the quality merch in there. Because it looks like you got some Gil. If anyone knows what a Gildan t-shirt is, let's put it this way: if you've ever played any community sports and they give you that rough, disgusting, heavy feeling, scratchy, shitty shirt, that's like the dirt cheap Gildans. That's what those were. I was like, all right, yeah, let's just make everything tri-blend and the super softest materials. This way, if anyone else besides us orders it, they'll actually like it. So we flipped that, and then just one by one, stables had reached out to us. Hanalei Acres, Keith at Crimson Racing, High Horse Stables was one of the first, right after they won the digital derby, like, hey, can you guys do merch for us? We're like, fucking absolutely. So we got them set up, and I think there's now 13, I want to say 11 or 13, I can't remember the number, stables that are set up on there. Bot Lady should be set up within the next 24 hours. We just got her logo. So it's a blast. And I encourage anyone, if you want merch, we'll do it for you. We have the infrastructure. It takes us, a couple days just to get it all up on there. You tell us what you want: hat, sweatshirt, t-shirt. The High Horse folks got baby bibs on there. So if if you're family people, I know Hunter over at Archibald, he's going to be set up. He's waiting on final designs for his logo. We just like doing it. I think it's cool to walk around and, have your retro hoodie on, or your Hanalei Acres t-shirt, or your award racing hat. It's funny that we're talking about merch. I actually just dropped like a $700 merch order today. So I've got like 5 or 6 giveaways I got to send out. And then I ordered a whole bunch of other shit just to hang out and give away the next couple weeks, that hopefully I'll have it before Christmas. And then I could just shoot it out to people for holidays to rock. So
that's a nice Christmas gift. Have you ever got like any public compliments, or anybody be like, hey, what's that shirt? Anything like that yet?
Just for like friends.
Okay.
So like my neighbors saw me wearing my hoodie the other day when I was walking the dog and asked about it, and then talked to them about retro. They're an older couple that is not remotely tech savvy, so I don't know that they're going to be buying any NFTs, much less a Zed Run horse soon. But no, they liked it. I showed them a race. They were pretty intrigued. I think accessibility to seeing the races is something that Zed needs to work on. And obviously they have their channel, but figuring out ways, and other people have talked about this, I've talked about this, just getting constant streams of content creators who will agree and have to agree on the content creator side that if they are doing it through the Zed channel, there's going to be some certain, legality or certain legal restrictions they'll have to agree to, right? Like I probably can't sit here, maybe in a Nike hoodie or something, but I might not, I can't swear if I'm on stream. I can't drink on stream. And backstep, I don't want to say any of those things are bad. I don't care. I cuss like a sailor sometimes. I'm trying to be cognizant of not doing it, especially when I'm on shows, but also drinking on stream, the Naruto guys do it. Sean versus All does it. I do it. some of the guys on Zook's stream, I believe, have done it. And I don't care. I don't think that's a big deal. But I think if you're doing it through Zed's channel, it would have to be more of a PG type stream, just because they don't know who their audience still is yet, and they would just want to control a little more of that. So I think it's doable. I'm happy to volunteer because I can run what I would call like a perfectly clean stream without doing all those things. Not to say that it's any more, any less fun. It still is fun, but I think Zed needs to continue to figure out ways to bring their community into what they're doing. One of the suggestions that I've had and have given, and this came from something that I did in real life for an organization I have pretty heavy involvement with. The organization has what they call an advisory member board, and they have 20 people that do a 2-year term, and there are 20 people that are invested in this organization, but they don't work for the organization. And we sit once a month, we hang out with a couple people from different departments in that company, and we actually give them feedback on what they're doing, how we're interacting with their product and service, how it makes us feel, kind of like a direct line of communication versus just blasting things out to everyone in the community. And the feedback tends to be very well received, acknowledged, and the suggestions we get, we see implementation of those. I think it would behoove Zed to do something like that as soon as possible, because we're obviously a very passionate community. But I know they hear us, but I think if, you had Ebbs and Chris Laurent and Jeff Wellman and Hux and Jay, or maybe whoever this new CMO is, or some of the other people at HQ, if they sat in a room or maybe on a Zoom, because obviously the logistics are a lot more challenging today, with 10 people, and it's not 10 of the highest owning stables, it's not 10 of the lowest, it's a mix of everyone in there, and just let us sit and talk to them about what we hear and see in the community daily. I think they would progress as a company 10 times faster than they are now, with only seeing some one-way interaction through social media or through Discord.
Because you're getting the other side of the coin, right? It's not just the makers of the game all in like their echo chamber. You're actually getting the people that are playing the game, and that they have their own perspective, and then they can tell that to the team, and then you meet in the middle. But if you're not listening to the community, I mean, it's hard to listen to a community through Twitter text, right? Because it's hard to grasp context. But when you can have a full-length conversation to someone like we're doing right now, it's pretty easy to come to an understanding on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, what Poseidon and Doofy and maybe Yair want from Zed is, or want Zed to do as an example, as changes to gameplay or changes to the Zed marketplace, are probably different than, say, my stable or ECS's stable or Zook's stable, which is different than whomever won that first horse as a giveaway on Sean versus All stream the other night, right? So you're talking about your ecosystem, or you're talking about your community and ecosystem, and then you're talking about the different types of players in there, and it's a balance, right? You have to figure out how to strike balance, because I go on social media right now, and what I see from all of the small stables is that they're all pretty pissed off and feel as though Zed is trying to cater to the largest stables or those that have had the most financial success within Zed. I don't know that that's the case. I think they being the team at Zed are just trying to figure out how to keep moving this forward and keep enough of the community happy or content to keep the product going, because you can't please everyone all the time. This isn't 3 people at a dinner table. You're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of people from different backgrounds, personalities, countries, race, religion, all very different people. And while we're all sharing the same technology and tool and interacting with it, what we want out of it is different. So you got to strike that balance, and you've got to hear from the different subsets of people within your community to figure out where you can direct your attention to have the most success.
Where do you think we're at right now? Do you think we're at a balance? Do you think we're more leaning towards the bigger guys or the smaller guys? Where do you think we're catering to right now?
I don't think of it that way. If for better or worse, I think of it similarly to the way that Ebbs has spoken about it and looks at where Zed is. And I think if you're talking about building, say you're building a car and you're starting with the wheels to having a full engine and the car can run on the highway, right now we have, I think they're at about a 15% of the car, which is, it's phenomenal, right? And people are like, well, what? No, it's a pile of crap. No, what Zed has is so unique in the world, and especially in the NFT space. And I know people talk about other projects that are out there, but those projects are all light years behind where Zed is. Not to say that they're not going to catch them. They're all going to catch them. They're all going to learn from Zed's mistakes. But Zed has a very tangible, a very functional, a very large monetary system where people can and are making money in a play to earn fashion in their game. People have an asset that can appreciate depending on what your assets are in the Zed Run world. And I think it's just still only 15% done. I think you're going to see a lot, like I said, a lot of changes to what you can do from a gameplay perspective, what you can do from a racing perspective, that are just going to blow this thing wide open in the next 6 to 12 months. And, the NFT spaces, as you've experienced, it's so fast in the way that it moves, and it's so fast in the way we all want returns. It's just hard for us to be patient to say I can wait 6 to 12 months. But 6 to 12 months prior to NFTs, like, oh man, football season, and say it was February. I'm like, oh shit, my team didn't win the Super Bowl this year. Well, it doesn't matter. Training camp's like 5 months away. Like, think of 5 months in the NFT space. That's shit. That's half a lifetime. And we're asking people in the Zed Run world to wait probably 6 to 12 months for such dramatic changes that you want the type of growth that we all want it to have. But I think it's there. It's going to happen. It's going to be in 6 to 12 months. It's going to be awesome. I just hope that a majority of these people that are jumping ship just kind of hang back and look, just don't sell your horse if you don't want to run it, or just wait for a tournament, run in the tournament, have some fun. But find a way to either get satisfaction out of it or help make positive change by giving good feedback, not pitchfork feedback.
I really like with what you said with the tires, because yeah, a lot of people could come in and be like, that's not even a full car, that's just a set of tires. But if you have like the long-term view, you can be like, wow, that's a badass set of tires. I can't imagine what the whole car is going to look like once we're ready to run on the highway. So it's just
Yeah.
perspective, right? The people that can see long term and can see like, wow, the base that they're building right now is pretty solid. So whatever we're going to stack up on top is going to be just even better.
Yeah, like what if the four tires were M series tires for BMW that are very recognizable, but that's all it was. I said, "Hey, here's four tires. We're 15% of the way done with this car. What do you think?" And I showed you the tires, and that's what I think. Yeah, this is a BMW M series right here. It's better, faster, stronger than most stuff that's out there, and is going to be awesome. It's just patience, which we do not have anymore. The NFT space has taught us a lot about how to be impatient for better or worse. But I think with Zed, we've got to figure out how to just take it day by day, find fun in the community, find some fun with some other people, figure out how to do head-to-head races like the Naruto guys smoke show. Just find stuff where maybe you find another horse from another stable that, using the KYH head-to-head tool, you figure out you guys are pretty comparable racers. Find that person and bet them $10 a race. Who cares if you actually win the race or not? Find a $2 race in your class, because they're back now from the changes, and go race that person for $10 if you feel like you can't win but want to figure out how to increase the pot. I shouldn't push people to gamble. But what I'm saying is try to find something maybe for bragging rights, or hey, if I beat you, you've got to put legally challenged as your PFP for 24 hours. Just find a way to keep this more exciting. I know it's there. I know it's just tires right now, but it's a finished car is going to be pretty sick.
Yeah, because you could add the super chips. You might have some seat heaters. You never know all the little accessories that we're gonna get on top of the tires. It's gonna be, I think we're gonna be very
Yeah.
happy for waiting it out.
Yeah, think of when we can interchange skins on our horses. Like I can put legally challenged out there. We have the NASCAR skin, we got the booty one. I don't care. I'm still super excited about it. There's going to be more of that stuff coming. The guys that have the Atari skins, I know my boy Hunter just grabbed one off that year. He's fucking so excited. And dude, I can't wait to see him run his Atari skin horse on the track. I'm literally just going to tune in just to see those horses run and like call those races because they're going to be freaking beautiful and awesome. And there's going to be so much more of that. I think hopefully Zed will give us the ability to import our own. So this way, when I run every retro racing horse, you can see a retro logo on that horse's thickums. Shout out to the Naruto guys. So you can see the retro racing logo on the thickums every time legally challenged is smoking everyone's horses down the track. That stuff is gonna come. This is basic stuff that they are not doing yet because there's so much more that they have to focus on to make the game as approachable as it needs to be for more players. And I think that's what everyone has to understand. They're making changes. They keep making changes. They changed the class system. They changed it so if you're in class 4, you can't now down class at $2 races in class 4 and then all of a sudden go run a $150 race in class 1. So congratulations, to people that were doing that. You were smart. You played the game the way that you could manipulate it for the most amount of success for you. And I do not knock that in any way. That's just good business. You took advantage of the loopholes that were in there, but they closed the loophole. So now you're going to go have to run your horse in class 1 if you want to come up there and run those races. So, they're doing that stuff, so I think we're getting past the point where it was one step forward, two steps back for Zed. I think we're starting to get to a 1-to-1. And I think, as those people that got onboarded over the last couple months are up to speed, because it takes time when you started a new company to get up to speed versus being just part of the organization. When they're all running at 100 within the company in the next 2-3 months, yeah, I really think the sky's the limit for Zed. NFA, not financial advice, but we are very bullish on Zed, and the community will see that as a retro team in particular, with some of the stuff that we're going to come out with soon, our belief of the opportunity within the ecosystem is enormous.
Yeah, I agree. You guys are setting yourself up, especially you with just calling races. I think you're really good at it, and you're setting yourself up to
Thank you.
where once they like give that position to a community member, you've already done the work. You've made yourself known in the community to where it's like, hey, if it's a voting system, I guarantee most people are gonna vote for you.
I mean, I would hope so. Look, I've said it before and I've said it again. Everyone, first of all, I'm not tooting my horn. It takes courage to sit there and throw yourself on screen and
Facts.
call that stuff. I don't have any background in it. And I promise you, if you go to YouTube and you bring up the ones that I did, a couple months ago, they were night and day different from where I'm at to call races today. It just takes time. It takes practice. But guys like Zook that do it, Zook's a blast. He's got an energy about him when he calls the races that is unparalleled. Again, like I said, T-Noob just tweeted the other day. He threw up one of his race calls. Smooth, man. And when he gets, another couple hundred under his belt or another 50 under his belt, he's going to be smoother. It's just fun to do. And I encourage people figure out ways to find a place in the ecosystem to have fun with it. Like I said, that was a big area of fun for me that makes it even more enjoyable. And there nothing beats, calling one of your horses big races when they win. that's the icing on the cake. And whenever we've run on stream, and one of my horses wins when we're doing giveaways, it's kind of disappointing because my horse won. Fun that they won,
Yeah.
but it's just cool. It's all good fun, and I think that's one thing we got to understand. We got to take some fun out of this, because if you're not having fun with things at the end of the day, if it's just strictly an investment, I've lived in that world with things, and it just becomes a grind, and you start to dig into what's not working more than what does. So
So let's say I would normally say to people, I give you half an ETH and you have no horses right now and you're going to start your stable with half an ETH, but I've got some comments saying that half an ETH is even too much for
it's
some
too
people.
much.
Yeah, like for a little
Okay.
like for a smaller guy, so with less than half an ETH, what would you come into Zed and what would you buy as your starting stable?
I'm going on to Haku right now to see what I can get with that.
All right, cool.
So I'm gonna actually, so less than half. I'm gonna go like 0.25,
Let's do it. 0.25.
and I'm just gonna see what that actually brings up. Um, so let's see, lowest genotype load. I'm gonna try and find. Here's a Z2 knock ledge colt. One race, 8 free, won the race, 0.25 ETH, just went up. Cryptic Gen. Let's see who mom and dad are. I always like to take a peekaroo at that. So Cryptic Job, 50% show rate. First Gen is the mom, 11% win rate. This horse won at 1,200. Flamed in the Griffey and won at 1,200. Flamed at 2,400 in class 2. Flamed at 1,600 in class 2. Well, these are all free races, so I don't love using free races as a metric, but I'm grabbing a knock ledge, at a Z2 at a quarter ETH. I think you could probably even find one that might not have been run yet at all. There's some value out there. I grab a horse like that because I think I could figure out a way to get that back from racing. If the horse is just okay enough, I can figure out ways to run it and either break even or get enough where I could turn around and flip it back out, at maybe what looks like a small loss, but is still profitable based on me getting some money in it.
Okay.
So knock ledge.
Yeah.
That's my party.
I like that. I mean, that's what I came in with, but I mean, I bought mine named or unnamed unraced for what I think market was 1.1 at that time. But chat, they're still saying that is too much. So Chicago and Lawrence, you guys tell me how much ETH you guys started with, and we'll try and find something like that. But why did you go on Haku first? For a new guy, what is Haku,
Yeah.
and why'd you go on there to research a horse?
I mean, even if you look at Haku, they have information on there, but they're really like the listings world for Zed. And if you guys do or do not know, they I believe just got a pretty big investment and are going to be expanding into a lot of other NFT stuff pretty soon. I didn't dive too deep into it. I just saw it come across. I know that the founder was on with BG, I think about 2 weeks ago, and I was able to hop in to the conversation, and I made a couple like just comments about being excited, and they were pretty receptive in talking about it. Uh, that tends to be the place where I go for listing information and trying to find quick data on the horses that are available for sale and sale history. I tend to use KYH and MJ Informatics for the majority of the analytics side, diving into the horses, diving into some of the ancestry there, and trying to figure out, is my horse a U-shaped horse? What's its preferred distances? Where is it flaming? Where can I use a down button? Those are my other spots for the analytics. But Haku really for sales, listings, and most up to the minute information on Zed horses that are out there and available.
Okay, I like that. I never really understood the power of Haku until I've had like people like you that come on and will research raced horses or lightly raced horses, and I'm like, oh, I didn't. All the little metrics that you can plug in to find like a specific horse, I like that. So they're saying like first horse, people are like, if you came in, you had like 500 to 700 bucks would be, which would be like what point, I don't know, is that like
About like
point
one
one? Yeah,
six.
point. Okay.
Call yeah,
So if do you,
1 6 1
what do you
7.
think you would do with that? Like 500 to 700 bucks. Would you buy two horses or one?
First I'm going back to Haku to see what 0.17 buys me.
All right.
And that's always going to be my first thing because I want to get a gauge of what's out there and what I can scoop. And at 1.7, you're probably looking. That's looks like there's a Z3 exclusive stallion for 0.14 that only ran one race. Honus Wagner for all you baseball fans out there. Let's see. Ran it's Griffey, came in 7th and had 16 odds.
So this horse hasn't ran in a long time.
No, last race was 3 months ago. Yeah, I might snag that horse for 0.14. That's a roll of the dice right there, right? It came in 7th at distance. You're talking at 2,400. Let's see. It's a Z3. Let's see who mom and dad are, if they were any good. So you got Thunder Road, who was a 3% winner over 30 races. Not too great. It's Offspring. There's one with 184 races. That's a 17% winner. But Offspring are tough because obviously you also got to look at the other side. So I'm only just looking at one side in this instance. Mom was a knock ledge that ran once and didn't win. Let's see who she came from. So grandfather, 24 races, never won. Grandmother was a 12% winner. That's not a bad horse. I might take a shot on that horse. 0.1425. I doubt I would buy two. I probably, this is just me. I tend to gravitate towards, hoping that I get it right the first time with a little bit pricier thing than, buying something that's cheap and realizing I probably should have gone for something more expensive the first time. Yeah, I mean, and for the record, I'm a knucklehead and totally forgot to have the YouTube chat up too while I was watching. I just kept our Zoom up. So I'm just catching up on chat, everyone. So apologies there. But I agree with what Chicago Stables is saying. Look, it's all relative to what your own individual goals and bankroll are, right? So my bankroll when I started was four other guys. So we had a much larger number than statistically, I would probably say about 85 to 90% of the Zed Run community that was getting involved at that particular time. So we were grabbing Z2s, we were grabbing Z3s, Z4s. I think we might have 25 Genesis horses or almost 30 Genesis horses ranging from Z2s all the way down to Z6s. But again, like I said, we had that. And then we also, over the last 6 months, while breeding was profitable and people were buying horses, we're breeding and selling or breeding and keeping. So we had a bankroll that we used to then turn around and reinvest and buy more Genesis horses. I think everyone's just got to, you got to figure out what works best for you and play the game that way. You can't play the game from a buy perspective, how other people do it, and compare yourself to them. Like, I want to buy a Bored Ape Yacht Club 8, but I don't have 50 ETH sitting around to grab it. And I don't think the missus wants to remortgage the house. So you just got to play the game the best way that suits your bankroll and then grow from there. And the other thing too, just that small piece, people forget or maybe don't think, you're going to have to pay to get in races. You're not always going to run free races because that's boring as heck, right? If you're just running free races, you're not making any money unless there's a prize pool for those free races, which I don't know that we'll ever see that again on Zed, because then they realized they were just giving away free money and that's not what they want to do. they are a for-profit business. You got to do enough to make sure that you have bankroll to run enough races to enjoy it, to get an idea what your horse can do, and then a bankroll to buy the horse.
Gotcha. All right, wrapping up. I got my last few questions for you here. So I give you the keys to Zed. You can change one thing. You can bring back odds. You can bring back paid or free races with paid. You can take away breeding minimums. You can take away stamina. You can take away flames. Whatever you want to do. Change one thing. What do you got?
Class system right off the bat. There's got to be more classes right now, because more classes means more horses have a place in the ecosystem and an opportunity to be profitable. So if you can do that sooner rather than later, you will get more horses back on the track. You'll get more prize pool. You'll get more people that are happy and excited, and that will draw more people into the community.
Yep, 100%.
This is rapid fire. This is just like the end of Faraday. I love it.
And then if you had to liquidate today, what would you think the value of your stable would be?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Shit. Shouldn't have said that. Shoot.
You're good. You can say whatever you want.
Value of our stable. We've got. Man, I would think if we had to liquidate today, we'd. Yeah, I would say we're probably in the low six figures. If I had to guess, I don't. This is different because I don't view. I view it as a business. I don't view it as piecemeal. So I would say, okay, we have a merch site. Again, it's not a profitable merch site from the perspective of raking money. That's not it. But it's brand awareness. We have a pretty big brand within the Zed Run community, so I think there's a lot of value there if somebody was actually trying to get involved and wanted a holistic, stable merch presence set up at once versus just coming in and trying to build everything from the ground floor. I would say all in, when we talked about it, when we originally got in Zed, we wanted to 15 to like 20x all of our initial investments as a walk point where we'd actually start having those conversations. Yeah, Lawrence, I think I don't know if you were here earlier. Like I said, we've been in Zed since March, and we have about 66 horses right now. So, I'm a numbers guy, so I don't want to just throw out some silly number. I want to actually kind of give people an idea of what I think we're worth. And again, you can look at our stable, you can see where all our horses are. We have one of the best sprint distance racers in the game. I don't know what Legally Challenged would command as just a sale in ETH. But I would say for us, a starting point would be $100,000 for that horse. I would say whatever that is, 25 ETH ish. And then you pack on everything else there. So probably a lot more than that number, maybe $250,000.
Yeah.
Again, so they're arbitrary numbers. We don't know. There hasn't been. That will happen one day. There will be full stable sales. All right. That's enough, Lawrence. You're getting me here, buddy. There haven't been full stable sales yet. The biggest we saw was the deal that KYH brokered a couple months ago for all those Z1s, and that was pretty sick. But that was a hell of an investment. That person's gonna minimum 3x that investment. And I don't think it'll take as long as other people think. But like I said, for us, we want to be like 20x, and that's going to be when Zed has, 5x ish the number of active users, not just the number of stables, the number of active daily consistent users that it has now. It's got to be something like that to start getting to that point.
Yeah, I agree as well. And Lawrence, if you want to see Big Bank, go. I mean, that's this game. You got to realize, yes, you can come in as a little guy and hit a grand slam. That's what I did. You can do it. But you also have to realize that there's grown men in this game with big bankrolls. And there's teams of people. There's Arbitrage. There's WagMe. There's Retro. There's Crimson. There's
See,
people.
we're not even in that with those guys. I mean, go look at go look at Yair. If
Yep.
you guys know Yair, he's an
.eth.
awesome guy. He's super humble. He's really nice to talk to. I would suggest chat him up. If you or ask or just take a look at his stable. Our stable doesn't sniff what he has. Hunter at Archibald, our stable doesn't sniff what he has. So there are a lot of big stables. Poseidon, Doofy, those guys. Doofy was buying Z1s for like $100 or something. So we were lucky. I would say if it was a 10-story building when we got into Zed and the ground floor is like, we're in the ground floor. I think we got in on floor 4. Not bad, but there's definitely a big disparity there. And again, now it's just how to grow the stable and how to compete with those guys and make it bigger and better for everyone. It's not just about the big stables. We all want to play and compete.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Do you got any questions for me, Retro?
Yeah, I would say I'm going to fire that one right back at you. If you have one magic wand change right now, what is it and why is it?
Man, that's damn. That I see why you guys got to think about it sometimes because I'm sitting here like, man, that's an action packed question. If I wanted to see one thing change, I would like to see no class systems at all. You don't see any races, like any horses when you hop in a race. You just hop in a distance and you pick the price you want to enter at, and you have no clue who's in there. And then it's kind of just like real life horse racing to where you're going to see your field once you're in there and then place your bets from there.
That's interesting, but that then takes away it being somewhat of a game of skill.
Mm-hmm.
So then it might be outlawed as a game if gambling ever comes to fruition.
Yeah, it's not.
Let me ask you this question though? Do you really want to just throw your money into a race when you don't know who's in there? If you're a new player.
If I'm a new player, no, I don't. No.
And are you saying this because let's say you didn't have diamonds. Okay.
It'd be a different story.
Now let me change the question. Say you have an okay class 1 runner. Right now, if you have an okay class 1 runner, you're probably cherry picking races, right? But say you want to get it, you're getting excited, you built up a little bankroll, you think you want to toss yourself in a 50. Do you want to toss yourself in the first 50 that pops up, not knowing who's in there, and then all of a sudden you see Dez, Billions, Ducky, Legally Challenged, Crimson Chin? Are you going to feel good about the game there, or are you going to feel like you got hoodwinked?
Well, that's a good question. I would say, well, it's kind of my fault, right? Because, like, I chose to enter that horse into that distance knowing that most likely if it's a big buy-in, there's probably going to be monsters in there. So, I mean, it would kind of just be like a lack of discipline on racing on my part. But, yeah,
So caveat emptor, buyer beware?
Yeah, I mean, like, beware. This is a big buy-in. Most likely the biggest, most valuable horses are going to be in this race. But I mean, yeah, now that you kind of challenge my thought, I'm kind of backtracking on it. I don't know what I'd want to see, to be honest. There's so much stuff, right? It's like to pick one that's hard.
No, I don't want to challenge it. I'm just saying, and again, that's an extreme example, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're in a class 5 race for $2, I don't care who's in a class 5 race for $2. I'm mm-hmm. just going to throw my horse in. I think there's a place for both of those for a queue system that literally does just toss you in. But when you start to talk about then those bigger dollar races, no. Like, I'm not throwing Legally Challenged into a race. Well, that's a bad example because I'm throwing him everywhere. I'm not throwing full Embiid into a big dollar race, even at his preferred distances, until I know who's in that race. So shout out to our boy Fofo.
I think
one of our favorite races.
I think I got it figured out now. So I'll do this. Like, for anybody in chat, or maybe even you, if you know what Rainbow Six Siege is, it's like a 5v5 game, but there's two different levels you can come in at play at. If you're just a regular guy, you work a 9 to 5, and you want to come home and have fun, you can just go hop in public matches. So let's say public matches are like no what you call it, no classes. It's just public. You can hop into this distance. But if you want to go play ranked, let's go ranked. That's where all the big boys are going to be at. You're going to see who's in that race, and then maybe like you can scout fields from there. But then it gives the different. It gives the guy who just has an average horse, he just wants to play Zed for fun, he can come in and play public matches, while there's some of our sweats, as we would call it, sweats, that play ranked all day, that have these big dog horses, to where it could be like an entrance system to where you see who's in that race before it runs.
Yeah, love it.
I'd
Love
have
it.
to
I
I'd
think
have to write it out a little bit more to like fully articulate it, but probably something like that.
Yeah, I know. Just we didn't talk about it. And this is something maybe next guest have that question. The ranking system that LIR is developing and honing it, pretty not daily, but they're dialing it in more and more. I think you're gonna see tournaments based off that ranking system, and I think stuff like that's gonna be pretty awesome. Because then you can say, all right, we're just gonna have a tournament, and obviously, we're going to have a tournament with the top 25, or say 24, since that'd be 12 and 12, the top 24 or 48,000-meter racers. We're going to have a tournament for racers 49 through 64, whatever the metrics work out for even numbers in there. I think a lot of that's coming too. And I think stuff like that, then again, it expands the opportunity for people to enjoy the game more, because then instead of, you being the 110th best racer at 1,000 meters going against, like I said, Diamonds and Billion and Crimson Chin and Legally Challenged and getting your ass handed to you time and time again, now you're going to run against Southern Eyes. That's one of our 1,000-meter distance horses that doesn't compete at class 1, but that makes it a lot more fun because you kind of balance out some of that skill competition. I believe that that kind of segues into the ELO system development. But I think there's a place for that, and there's a tournament place for that that's going to come pretty soon.
Would you like to see like a practice mode to where like
Absolutely.
maybe you're not even racing against other people, you're kind of just racing against bots, but you can figure out like your horse's distance, so you're not burning a bunch of money just to figure out where to race at?
I think it'd be hard if it's not racing against other. Sorry, yes. First is the answer. I would love to see, and I think to some extent, free races are your practice mode, because you're not dinged on points, you're not making any money, but there are other horses that are in there that are at your skill level that are running. So you are getting information, and I think they're important. Are free races giving you the exact same qualitative data that you're going to get in a paid race? No. So just like practice mode, you're not going to really know until you get into real game mode. But I 100% think free races need to stay in some capacity as that form of practice. And yes, I think running against, like generic horses or like 10 donkeys, I don't know that there's value in that.
Right.
Whereas like, running like doing practice mode in Madden, there's still value in there because it's the actual players. They're just not trying to kill your quarterback and hurt them. But I think the party mode that hopefully Zed will have down the pike will kind of create some of that, where you could maybe do, like I could race Crimson Chin and you Diamonds, the three of us could do a head-to-head race only with no one else on the track. I think that'd be sick. And I tell people, don't watch the movie Seabiscuit if you like horse racing. If you don't, then just watch the YouTube clip of Seabiscuit racing War Admiral in a head-to-head one-on-one race on a track, and it's grainy and it's from the 30s, I think. It was freaking amazing to watch that. And we're going to see that in Zed. And it's going to be a blast. There's things coming. There's good things. I don't have any alpha here, so don't take what I'm saying as gospel. It's nothing insider that I've shared with anyone today. These are, as MJ would say, my conversations with people in the ecosystem and conversations with team members. These are just tin hat things that I'm conjuring up. So
We just gotta wait till our BMW hits the Autobahn, right?
that's it. Wait till the clutch and the gear shift get in there with the big fancy M logo on it.
Let's go. Let's go.
Or the paddles. It's all paddles now anyway, right? Nobody
Yeah.
can shifts.
Yeah, it's all right there. So, Boots, where can people contact you or catch your content at?
Sure, appreciate it. At Zed Retro Racing, you can reach out to myself, DMs if you have any questions. We are always happy to help. If you guys are looking to promote any of your horses, sell your horses, we are always happy to share that with the community. If you're looking to get set up on stableswag.shop, hit us up in the DMs and on twitch.tv/Zed Retro Racing. I am Boots, the voice of Zed Run. Thank you so much for having me, Jarek, man. I appreciate it. This was awesome.
Yeah, no problem.
We crushed some time here today too. I didn't know that it was going to go that long, but it was such a fluid conversation.
Yeah, it's like a time capsule, you know? You just fly through it, and then you're like, oh, 2 hours later. But do I have to be a big guy to get some stable swag? Can I just be a regular old Joe, maybe with a couple good horses, and just hit up Zed Retro Racing to get some swag on their shop?
Yeah, I mean, just look, we're not trying to print one T-shirt for every stable. We're not there yet because we are 5 guys. We do have full-time jobs. 4 out of 5 of us have families with kids that they're managing. You know, a bunch of us own our own companies, so we're doing a lot of stuff there too. So please try to be cognizant of that. Please try to be patient. But, you know, if you're saying, hey, I want to get set up, I want to order a couple things, you know, I want to have my logo up there, because we're starting to actually see now, which is cool. Other Zed Run folks are ordering other people's merch, which is kind of sick. Like, that's what we want. We want people wearing each other's logos. We want to support each other. Like, you're going to start seeing every time I'm on camera, I'm going to be wearing somebody else's merch. You know, I'm going to be rocking an East Coast beanie. I'm going to be rocking a crimson hoodie, you know, all that stuff. So if it's just one shirt to get printed, please go to the mall and do it. But if you're looking to get set up and have your stuff out there because you think other people want it and want to be a part of it, we want to help you guys. Absolutely.
100%. If you want to be taken serious, take yourself serious and approach them with respect, because it probably takes quite a bit of time to get that stuff set up. So sweet. Thank you so much, Boots. This is episode 14 of Zed Daily. We're back next week. Thank you to everybody who came on this week, and thank you so much, Retro Racing.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Yep, thank you. Have a good day, bro.